Section 1.3, data collection and experimental design. Pause the screen or pause so you can write down the objectives as questions in your essential questions box. Designing a statistical study, you can read through it. What we're going to be dealing with is collecting data, describing the data, and then interpreting the data. So, types of data collection. You could either do an observational study. It is what you see it as. Like you're observing behaviors. You are not intercepting in any way or affecting the results in any way. Experiment, however, is whenever you actually adjust some part of a group. You make sure that you have a control group, and then you've got your treatment group. And you can pause the screen to read the details. But okay, if we were to determine whether the study is an observational or experiment, pause so you can read the problem. But because 70 patients receive vitamin D and 70 patients don't, they get the placebo, this is an experiment. And then whenever we try to determine how confident Americans are in the economy, and you call and you ask them, you're not affecting them. So this would be an observational study. So then you have simulations where it would be unethical to have some sort of experiment. And it often saves time and money, maybe a computer software. Surveys are to help disperse a question out to people. So that way you're able to get a lot of answers, and you don't have to affect people. So it's kind of like observational. Anyway, you can pause at any time and read through. But 3 key elements of a well-designed experiment are making sure you have control, randomization, and replication. So control helps us not have confounding variables. You can pause and read the example, and figure out what placebo effect and blinding means and why we do blinding and double blind. But randomization is going to happen every single time. We want to be ethical about this process. So randomized block design is you create blocks and then have a control and a treatment within each block, just like you see here. Matched pairs, we don't really use too often, but sample size is extremely important. How many subjects are you going to have? Replication, you want to repeat a process over and over. So that way you have ethical results. Anyway, let's say we want to, pause and read. And this is about, trying to figure out if a treatment was okay with heavy smokers. And we only have 10 adults in this experiment. 5 are given the new gum, 5 are not, and all 5 are good. Well, that's not doing replication. You have to repeat. If you can only get 10 adults at a time, then you need to get 10 and 10 and 10 and repeat the process over and over. And then let's say you up it then to 1,000 adults, and you divide the blocks in according to gender. Well, and you notice all the females have a significant number of subjects. Well, then you got to break up all the female groups and break up all the male groups and compare within the gender of what happens. So we have these sampling techniques, and and the sampling techniques help to not make a sampling error. A simple random sample is you using a table or using a number generator to pick out the subjects of the survey. And here's an example of using a survey or using a simple random table. You can Google this and Google simple random table. And let's say you have 731 students, and you number each survey answer up from 1 to 731. Then you pick a random row in that table to start counting. Because the highest number is 731, that's a 3-digit number, we're going to break off every 3 digits. So here's what you're going to see. You notice that you pick a random spot like 71,966. But because we have a 3-digit number, you start breaking it off as 3 digits. So we notice it's the first number is 719, and then the next number would be 662. The next number would be 738. And we're going to have to ignore the numbers that come out to be bigger than 731. So like 738 has to be thrown out, but then you'll choose 650, you'll choose 4, you'll choose 53, and so on. And you go until if you only wanted to pick 10 students, then you just pick 10 numbers. Okay, so stratified is when you do sort of like groups, you do that block, and it's based off of characteristics. So you see the example here, dividing it into low income, middle income, high income. Cluster sample is dealt on your location. So zip codes are the greatest example of a cluster. Systematic is that if you're picking every third or every 10th, that's systematic. Convenience is when you pick out of, well, exactly what it says, convenience, like the people around you. So let's say you divide the student population with respect to majors and randomly select and question some students in each major. A major is a category, so that would be a stratified sampling. And then you assign each student a number, generate random numbers. Well, that's simple random sample. Like you're kind of using a table. You select students who are in your biology class. That's convenience. And thank you.